Welcome to Trending with Miss Trey. Hi, hello. I want to welcome you, Sheree Williams,
Thank you.
phenomenal entrepreneur. I'm just gonna jump right into it. Welcome again.
Thank you. Hello. Thanks for having me.
So I know that you're originally from the suburbs of Chicago, and you've migrated over to the West Coast to Cali. Tell
Yes.
me a little bit about your upbringing and your background in Chicago and how you got to California.
No problem. So I went to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. And one summer I studied advertising. And so a summer internship, they said, you know what, do you want to, work in Columbus or New York? It was a different cities. So I said, okay, California. Never lived there before. I just thought the people were mean. You watch TV and that's what you thought. So long story short, I got an internship my senior year in San Francisco. And I went back home. I said, Mom, Dad, I'm moving to California. And so, and
Just like
so,
that.
exactly, 24-year-old, the world is yours. And so we packed up a U-Haul and my parents drove me cross country. And we landed here July 1st in 1998. So
That's truly amazing. So I haven't been to Chicago yet, I know. But tell me a little bit about the food there, the culture there, and how is it different from the Cali life? Because
yes.
Cali life is avocado toast and tomatoes.
Also, I got a good story about that. So, I grew up in a typical Black Midwestern family, right? And so it was schools. My parents are from Ohio. And so, and then going to school, Chicago. So you're used to culture. Still it's all about the thick crust pizza, the deep dish. So I don't know about that New York stuff, that thin stuff. But it was we had the house music, true house music from Chicago, right? So and so it was a good upbringing for me, just your typical summer spent going to Great America, going to the fairs and all of that. And in terms of food in the house, typical soul food family, right? My dad to this day won't try anything different, no matter what. And so, just growing up with that, I grew up, a good friend of mine was Mexican. So we had Mexican food, I had Indian, but still came back to the core. And I would say you cooked, but it wasn't like there was a big thing around food per se. You know what I mean? It's nothing I paid attention to. I danced in school. So it was about playing outside, school, and dancing. That's what I focused on, not food. And so when I came to California for my internship, the first week there was a luncheon for the founder of the advertising agency. And they put a green salad in front of me, a mixed green salad. And I was like, what is this? This is not iceberg. What is this? And I did not eat the salad. I was not used to that whole green and radicchio and all that stuff. And so, but now it's like iceberg just for tacos, right? Because I just can't, I guess they turned me out in terms of being from California now and the food. But it was really sort of a food culture shock in a sense, not in a good way though. But it was, I didn't really get into the farm to table. I wasn't into any of that until I got to California. So it had to grow on me. So
That's a good story because to this day I still can't get into the salad thing. I
really,
can't, and I know it's probably because of I have a thing with crunching. So it's the
oh,
crunch that gets me. Like I don't like for people to even sit next to me with chips. So it's like I think that's
oh,
why I
you wouldn't
haven't
like
done the
me?
whole salad. I think that's why I haven't done the whole salad thing.
Wow. See, and for me, so when you talk about food, textures and things, it's the crunch. It has to crunch. I'm not
Okay.
into, I can't do a Jello. I can't take Jello. When you talk about oysters, I can't take the texture of oysters. So I need something that my teeth can sink into and crunch. And as long as I can crunch all day long, I'm good. So.
Okay, so we may be able to go on a dinner date because the texture thing I can't do, but the crunching, as long as the music is playing in the restaurant, we might be okay.
Okay. Yeah, the music is about the music too. That really was, if you got bad food and you got
Right.
good music, then you
Right.
good. Then you're still good.
Right. Okay, so I want to go ahead and celebrate you on your anniversary last
Thank,
month of
thank
Cuisine
you.
Noir.
Thank you.
It is a phenomenal platform where you're actually giving a platform for Black chefs, wineries, different people in the food, travel, and winery industry. So tell us a little bit about that, because I know I was excited when I looked at it and I was like, this is so me. But
Thank you.
you're a baby, so I'll let you talk about it.
Thank you. So yes, it was 12 years. So the magazine actually started with the founder. I currently own it for the last 12 years, but he's a chef based in Sacramento that, the conversation, that whole, where are the Black chefs? Because they weren't in Food and Wine. You didn't see them in Bon Appetit, Savour, all of those magazines. So, he said, I'll do something about it. And he started Cuisine Noir. And so when we connected was really around the time when Aaron Big Daddy McCargo won Food Network. The Neelys were popping up on the scene. Rock Harper won Hell's Kitchen. Trey Wilcox was really, kicking off Top Chef. And you starting to see more Black chefs on Top Chef. It was, Trey, and then came Tiffany Derry, and then Carla Hall. So they were starting to come along. And so it was conversations that no one was having. And I always loved travel. I would have to say I really didn't get into wine until I really started working on Cuisine Noir, because truth is, I believe, and someone can definitely contest me on this, in most Black households, there's no wine, there's spirits. My dad was good with the Puerto Rican rum, but there's no wine. And so, that wasn't that culture that I grew up with, but coming out here and having the majority of the Black winemakers and, at the time meeting Mac McDonald of Vision Cellars, when the Association of African American Vintners were doing their events, we were just right in that hub. And so after I took over the magazine in 2009, I knew I wanted to rebrand it to say, what, there's food, there's wine, and there's travel. I mean, how many of us do not, or how many of us do ask the question, when I go to this destination, where am I going to eat? Okay. And sometimes you go to that destination just to eat, right? And so why not bring it all together? And so that's when we really started telling those stories, really started telling the stories of, yes, there's Black winemakers. Yes, there's Black chefs that don't just do fried chicken, but you know what? They're French trained. They can do the foie gras and the tartars too, and really started that conversation. From a travel standpoint, Black people ski. Black people travel internationally, so there was all of these boxes that we were put in that we were just, no, breaking them down, busting them open, because that's not the case. And so very excited to be leading that and leading those conversations and doing so.
Well, I condone you for that, because, like you say, when you go to a new location, whether it be internationally or nationally, you're like, okay, I got to find something to eat. I got to find some good cocktails. And where am I going to stay?
Right.
So being that you have a platform that puts all that together is amazing. I noticed there was a couple different wineries that were in Ohio, Cali, Oregon, New York, Illinois, DC, New York. And these are things that I, as a beginner traveler now, are like, I didn't know that there were so many Black wineries all over.
Yes.
You may see it on social media that they are maybe like, oh, they have a new wine, or they may have their wine is placed in somewhere, but you didn't know that there was actually a winery that you can go to, and they're all over the US.
Yes.
So that was something that I took away from your website, because I was like, I didn't know that. So now I'm like, okay, I got the travel bug, and I'm like, okay, where we going next? So I can go and try it out.
Exactly.
So that was amazing too. And I also saw, like, there was the Lisa and Leanne Jones. They opened their first wine bar in Inglewood. So it's things like that we always need to know about, because unless we are making the awareness of what is coming up in our neighborhoods, no one's making the awareness.
Exactly. And and we need to support. We truly do, because as we have so many obstacles as Black business owners that we have to overcome. And unfortunately, sometimes we get it from both sides, in terms of we're fighting the white racism, white supremacy, and we're fighting all of that. And then we're fighting to make sure that Black consumers support us just as much as you would another winery. The wines are good. So we really, need to honor what we've done because we are doing some amazing things. And to your point, it's not just Blacks in wine in the US, but around the world. If you go to South Africa, you
I
got
saw
the
that as
women
well.
kicking butt over there, and even in Brazil. So
Wow.
definitely it's great to really trace the diaspora to see what we are doing and be able to give that global voice. Because at the end of the day of saying, what's your brother and sister doing over here? Go over there and support them. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, with you saying that, tell us a little bit about your nonprofit, the Global
yes,
Food and Drink Incentive. Like, tell us a little about that because I know, like you said, you want to be able to support people that are doing different things in the
right.
industry, whether it be food, wine, or travel. So, tell us a little about how that was brought about and what are you doing to give back and be a part of that change.
Thank you. So one of the things that has come up, especially with last year with the whole Black Lives Matter, is we were definitely grateful to see the support around Black-owned businesses, but somehow Black media was still left out of that. And Roland Martin has really been a vocal advocate of making sure, there is a 15% pledge. I think it needs to go higher. But the brands that we support as Black people are not necessarily supporting Black owned media. And we need to change that. And so, as I was looking at how do I move forward as a Black owned media company, what can I do? Because the case is to get really real about it, the people making the decision at these agencies don't look like you and me. And therefore, if they're not intentionally saying, you know what, I want to reach Black consumers, where do I go?
Mhm.
They're not necessarily making that conscious, intentional effort. So, with that being said, I said, you know what, we have to do something different because our stories are important. The work needs to move forward, but we got to do something differently. And so, I looked at a variety of different options, changing business structure, and the nonprofit just felt right because of everything that we do. Not only do we tell stories, we've helped with casting calls on some chefs to get on TV shows. We've got chefs that we featured and then they've then connected with brands to be spokespeople. We've talked about travel and diversity. One of the major things that I'm talking about now is when we go to a destination, and my writers know this, we need to know who are the Black people, who are the people in these cities. And when we go to if I'm not shooting photography or you're not shooting photography, then the destination needs to have photography that fits our medium. I cannot have, and there's nothing, everything says everything, but I
Right.
can't talk to my readers who are predominantly Black and I have white people drinking wine and I'm talking about visit this wine country. Why can't you have diversity in your offering? So that's stuff that we talk about and that we do. So the nonprofit, the Global Food and Drink Initiative, is the publisher of Cuisine Noir. Okay, so that's our flagship publication. And then it does the work around the diversity and inclusion efforts. It's going to do work definitely in 2020, programming around for small business owners. Owning a restaurant, it's more than cooking good food. It is about understanding the front and the back of the house, promotions, partnerships, good hiring practices, right? Good buying practices. So making sure there's always someone that's going to want to follow their dream in that area. How can we help set you up for success? Okay. And then for the community, what tools and resources? Some people don't want to own a business, but they're a mean cook, or I have a friend that we just picking some grapes because she wanted to just do some home winemaking. It's just something fun. She doesn't want to be a winemaker. She's not going to be the next longevity with Phil Long, who launched started making wine in his garage, and now he's like sold all over the country. But she just want to play around, play, let's make some wine. And so those are just different things that we're going to be doing. And the most important part is exposure. That's what we continue to do, is the exposure. Because if you don't are not exposed to something, how do you know that it's possible for you? And I think that's what we're here to do. So 2022 programming, guides, information, connecting. That's what the Global Food and Drink Initiative is all about.
That sounds amazing because, like you say, it may just be some information that someone is lacking to get them to that next step. So, if
Mhm.
you're able to provide them with the resources and the connections and the partnerships in order to make something that they may seem as small
Right.
than what they can ever imagine. So, that is an amazing initiative that you're actually putting together and that you're
Thank
moving
you.
forward with in 2022. Um, with all of this going on, with Cuisine Noir, the food and drink initiative, what do you like to do on your spare time? What is your happy place? And I know for me, I'm a foodie, so I like to
Okay.
go and going to different restaurants. What do
Mhm.
you like to do?
You know, because my days are talking, emails, and always engaging with people, so people don't really know. And a friend of mine, let me say this. Last year, it took to say I'm alone, spending time with myself, redirecting self care, right? And in that process, learning more about who I am and what makes me happy and where is my happy place. So in that, I really discovered that at the heart of who I am an introvert at the heart. So to answer your question, what really feeds me is alone time. It really does. Um, of being alone by the water, quietness, maybe with some music, maybe with a glass of wine, taking myself on a picnic, making a little cheese board and going in Oakland and down the Jack London Square and just being by the water there. That's what feeds me. I went to the 49ers game on Sunday. And there was all of this, all of that stuff going on around you, right?
Tailgating.
Yes. And then when you're in the game, it's everybody just, people cussing and fussing because this person made this play and
Right,
this and that, this and all
right.
of that in the music. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a lot for me. You know what I mean? It is a lot. And I have to come down after that game because it was just so woo, woo, woo. So again, to answer your question, it is really just me time and really being able to get back into a good place, a quiet place for me to replenish so that I can go back out there and start the next day with conversations and all of that. I do like to cook, so I will put on some music in my kitchen. Mincing is so therapeutic for me. Give me some garlic that you need to
Mm.
mince, and it's just that is like therapeutic for me. So definitely, that's another way that I do feed myself is through cooking. So
Okay. So if you had to tell me, since eventually I'll be coming out to Cali, I don't
okay,
know, the pandemic, you never know where you can travel, when you can't travel,
exactly.
when you can go. So if you had to top your favorite two restaurants in Oakland, what
Mhm.
would that be and why?
So one is Alamar Kitchen and Bar. That is from Nelson Irman, who was on Top Chef this past
Mm.
season, 18. And he's Dominican from New York. And so he has the Dominican bowls are out this world, whether you do the chicken or the oxtail, out of this
Mm.
world. So I would definitely put that on the map. And then he also has a spot called Sobra Mesa, and that is more cocktail lounge driven. So you can actually have dinner at Alamar and then do your cocktails at Sobra Mesa. So definitely have to go there. Another spot, and I'm going to definitely shout out to the Black owned restaurants as because there's a different ones, but I'm definitely shout out to them. I would say a couple would be Chef Leilani Ball with Magnolia Street. Her oxtail and grits, oh my goodness, and her fried shrimp or fried fish rather,
Mm.
amazing, amazing. So I would definitely do Magnolia Street Wine Lounge and Bar, and then of course, so those would be the two. If you want to
Mhm.
add in some sprinkles, you've got Kingston 11. If you want your Jamaican, Sarah Kernan has Miss Allie's. She's from Barbuda. So we've got some spots, and then you can definitely throw in some wine tasting at Rose and Bloom down by Jack London Square along the ferry. And
Oh
so
wow.
there's so much to
So
do.
it's a whole vibe.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It really is. You know, Oakland, it really has a good food scene. Again, just going with the whole farm to table, fresh, and just what we are able to create, and then just the creativity around the chefs here is just definitely amazing. So
Well, I guess I need to call you when I come out that way to make sure I hit all the right places because
happy to
you
happy to
sound
let
like
you
you have the
know.
list under control.
Happy to let you know, because that is part of our job is knowing what to do, where to go. And I've had plenty of people saying, I'm coming to the area, you know, where do I go? What do I try? So, you know, some of at the top of my list too, are I love Thai food. So I have a
Mm,
really good Thai food that I like to go to in Oakland. What else? Good Indian food is always great. Mediterranean. I love Moroccan. That's where, you know, you pull in your lamb. So I'm really with, you know, you can't go wrong with lamb at a nice Moroccan restaurant. So,
right.
you know, between Oakland and San Francisco, you're covered.
Okay. So I
Hmm.
want to thank you so much for coming on Trending with Miss Trey.
Yes.
Is there anything that you want to let the viewers know that you have coming up or any exclusives that you want to drop that's coming around? Feel free to go ahead and let us know what you have going on.
Sure. So a couple of things. We are wrapping up our 12-year anniversary donation fundraiser. So we're just asking readers to support us with a $12 donation. We are in the process of securing our 501c3 status, so they will be tax deductible come the end of the year. So $12 or more, happy to support. You know, it takes a lot of work to do what we do. Writers, it's a business, right? It's not just putting up food stories and saying taste this glass of wine. Is a business. So definitely love support there. And we just announced our special edition print issue featuring
Oh.
Tia Mari on the cover. So you definitely want to check that out. This issue tells the stories that no one else is telling. And I'm very serious about that. And I say that because we interviewed a young girl who has Don't Be Chicken food truck out of Oakland. She shares her story around how she was a model, and then after an incident where she was assaulted, instead of being in her, you know, being depressed, and taking medication, she looked for ways to bring herself out and make herself healthy. And so she turned vegan and then really just started nourishing her soul through food. Great story there. We talked to restaurateurs and business owners in Bahia, Salvador de Bahia, in
Oh,
Brazil, and just how, you know, with the president that they have, that doesn't really care about Black people, but you didn't hear from me. You know, just the struggles that Afro-Brazilians have and how the pandemic impacted them. As you know, Carnival is their big baby there, and they were not able to have it this year, and the impact was enormous. We talked to entrepreneurs in Europe. We talked to how the pandemic impacted the businesses in Trinidad, St.
mhm,
Lucia, Anguilla,
mhm.
and Jamaica. So again, this is an issue that you definitely want to pick up. If you go to cuisinenoirmag.com, look for print, you can order your copy. So definitely you want to get your hands on that. So
Oh, I'm excited about that issue. I might have to
yes.
pick up a copy.
Yes.
So again, I want to thank you so much. Feel free to come back whenever you have any exclusives or
Thank you.
anything new that's coming up that you want to make sure the world gets to know and hear your story. So, like
Thank
I said,
you.
thank you so much for coming on, and I want to wish you a wonderful weekend and have a good night.
Great. Thank you. Take care.